Ah, there you are, and welcome back. We are closing in on the Chupacabra, but will our five brave souls defeat it, or does this spell disaster, and are they heading into the depths, sealing their fates? Well, you'll find out whether or not it is a victory or their ultimate doom, so shall we? Bloodlines, Chupacabra, Chapter 11, Beyond the Threshold. Beyond the capability of the three people alone and one priest down, Sandra couldn't fathom the younger priest going beyond the door on his own. He couldn't have, could he? All Sandra could think of, why the hell didn't he wait for them? It was too soon, and surely he'd be killed by the beast down there by himself. Cal had mentioned that he'd seem different, almost like a kid in a candy store. Ah, idiot, he said, thinking out loud. Sandra, Larry, and Father Flanagan turned and looked at Cal, almost shocked. They remembered what the old woman had said the day they had all first arrived there, and knew nothing good could possibly have come from the disappearance of yet another person, and they feared that the old woman may have been right all along. Shit, well what the hell was he thinking? Said Larry. Did he know something we don't? And why the hell was he in such a good mood anyway? I mean, we could all be killed, and yet there he went. Sandra shook her head. What had gotten into Father Santoro? Cal just looked down into the cellar, sighing as he thought, Lord help him if that thing decides to come after him. He's done for, and so are we. Father Flanagan, without a doubt, was just as taken back. What a fool! He'll be killed! And shit! He was supposed to read the damn scrolls. What the HE double hockey sticks are we going to do? I don't know what to do. Father Flanagan was already panicking as Larry walked over to him and spoke. Well, if he's dead, then we're all pretty much screwed. Sandra crossed her arms, closed her eyes, and said, That's quite an understatement there, Larry. We are about to be freaking Chupacabra chow, now that Father Santoro took off. But do you think, maybe we should go after him? Larry looked at Father Flanagan. Ted, she's got a point. I mean, into the fray, but we can't just leave him down there. I don't feel right about that. The four of them decided that it could not wait any longer. Once inside of the forgotten farm, down into the depths, the rotten wooden floor had fallen more than the two previous visits. Once they ascended down, they could smell the scent of aged wood and smoke damage that filled the remnants of the old cellar. Once they moved a few more termite-infested beams that still had moth-eaten drapes clinging to them, they were able to get to the door. How the hell did he get through that mess? I mean, he couldn't have just shimmied down and opened it without tools, says Larry. It was just before Larry had finished speaking, as no one had been paying attention to the creaking sound that was followed by a loud metal clang. The door had slammed shut, leaving a cloud of dust in its midst. Cal let out a, well, that's not good. I think you're right about something, Larry. It might be trying to stop us. I mean, that storm and the bridge was definitely a warning. Well, never mind that, Larry says to him. Help me pry it open. We need to get in there ASAP. It took Larry and Cal a few jerking motion jolts with a crowbar as they finally pried the door off of its rusted hinges. And what they could smell was a stench most foul. Slowly they opened the trapdoor at the bottom, and I'll tell you that it was a smell you'd never forget, that of rot and decay. Probably over 100 years of dead matter left to rot. You could see walls dripping with water that had left reddish-orange staining in and along the corridor walls, and what was left of the farmhouse foundation, just under where the original door of the old barn had once been. That was where it ended, and the long walk through the cave began. Most probably would have turned back, just as the foul air hit their nostrils. The remaining priest handed Sandra a handkerchief he had doused with lavender, as it kept the foulness of the cavern entrance from making her sick. She had looked quite green in the gills as he glanced at her pale face. She had seemed, if she were about to retch, while the rest of the group, taking notice, just covered their mouths and noses with their shirts. The priest also knew the lavender would keep her calm. Approaching yet another large metal door, most likely made of iron, Father Flanagan stepped forward, slowly, opening the second door, only to realize they had found a set of stairs and descended down into the dark cavern even further. As they did, the air grew denser, and more had a sickly sweet, yet pungent scent of death. It was at this point, Sandra gagged and let out a loud, hoo-ah, as her breakfast left her stomach, and its contents ended up on the ground. So much for that, she said while trying to catch her breath. Sorry, Father, I really do appreciate the essential oils, but I don't think I can go any further. Just as she had thoughts of turning around and heading back up and out for fresher air, they heard a loud bang behind them. "Shit!" exclaimed Larry. "Please don't tell me that was the door," said Cal. "I'm afraid it was," said the priest. "You still have that crowbar?" asked Sandra. "We're going to need it if we want to get out of here." "Oh, fuck off," said Cal. "Are you kidding? It's got us trapped. Now if you ask me, I think we pissed it off." Father Flanagan pulls out 4 of the flashlights. "Lit up, everyone? I was here a while ago, and if I remember correctly, there is a room at the end of this tunnel, and according to the scrolls that Father Santoro had, we should find another door with a goat head symbol on it." "Ugh, another door to trap us in here, as if we're not already sitting ducks. Yeah, that's just great," says Cal. "Down through the tunnel into the belly of the beast," says Larry. "Yeah, I was kind of hoping this was it, but okay. God damn, the smell is horrendous," yelped Sandra in a disgusted tone. "Really hope you brought enough holy water and salt, Father." "As I told you, I did come prepared," says the priest. "Ted, I hope that you brought everything, and I mean everything, including the book." Larry looking at his old friend, who in his mind was still a bit angry with. Father Flanagan smiled at him. "Aye, that I did, and plenty of Bible verses along with them." "What, no silver bullets and garlic?" Sandra says, smiling and about to laugh. Father Flanagan chuckles a bit. "Ha, you're thinking of werewolves and vampires, which, don't get me wrong, a chupacabra pretty much fits the bill." Cal, fighting back his own wave of nausea from the fumes below ground, lets out his own slight laugh and tries to ignore the smell as he says, "Oy vey, not that it wouldn't have hurt to have brought along silver bullets then, right? Eh, Father?" "Yeah, but how exactly are we supposed to kill it?" asks Sandra. Father Flanagan takes out a cloth, retrieves the velvet-covered wooden box with the silver snakes engraved upon it, opens it and takes out a small silk black bag, then removes another black cloth that was rolled up within it. He lays it out onto the box to reveal a dagger, a blade made of obsidian with a handle made of pure Damascus steel. Father Flanagan carefully picks the dagger up, as its blade so sharp could slice right through your hand with one wrong move. With this, as he stares directly at the 3 of his companions, "I hate to say this, I have to. One of you will have to get close enough to the beast and plunge this directly into its heart, and I mean directly in its black demonic heart." The 3 stare at the dagger the priest has brought with him, and examining it closely. "Why am I not surprised?" says Sandra. "Of course we have to get that close to the damn thing. Gee, maybe we should take it to dinner first, before we get up close and personal there, Father," she says sarcastically. "I am afraid it's the only way, Miss McCoy," the priest says to her. "Which one of us is it then?" asks Larry. I'm afraid to ask," says Cal. "But how do we know that'll work without Father Santoro reading the scrolls?" "We don't," says the priest. "We can only hope that sheer luck wins out at this point." "Wow, way to be completely vague there, Ted," says Larry, scoffing at the idea they'd just have to wing it. Sandra balks at the thought of handling something as sharp as it is dangerous. "Not me. No way. I'm not about to mess with that thing. That enough that I saw it that night. I can't. I just can't." She looks over at Cal, hoping he'd say something. "I mean, Cal over here, maybe? I mean, you've had plenty of military training, and you've been in combat, right?" "What? Why me?" "I mean, yeah, I've seen plenty with my time in the Marines, but I mean, this is a whole new level of fucking weird, even for me. So I don't know, but maybe, no offense, Father, I figured it should be a priest, and you fit that description. I mean, we've all seen The Exorcist, right?" Cal looked rather reluctant, even for a guy like him. He had second thoughts. The 4 of them start arguing, and then, just as they thought it couldn't be resolved, a small but loud voice screamed out at the top of their lungs. "Oh, for fuck's sake. I'll do it. Yes. Okay, I will do it. Damn it. We're not going to get anywhere arguing, and this is exactly what happened before with Laura, and just look at where that got us, huh? We are underground, inside of a rancid, disgusting cave, fighting like a bunch of idiots." Standing shocked, the 3 men couldn't believe that, out of all of them, and being that she had been the one most affected, and the one haunted by the beast, that Sandra McCoy was the one who had decided for them. Father Flanagan, pale and ashamed by the way they had been acting as her. "Are you sure? You have to be absolutely sure. This isn't easy, you know that, and I cannot guarantee your safety once it comes after you. Sandra, please reconsider. Let one of us take the dagger." "No, I will do it. After all, it marked me, and I saw it that night, so I will take the damn dagger." This is my fight, now not just for me though, for Laura, for Rory, and for your grandfather Larry. She looked at the dagger as Father Flanagan placed it back into the black cloth and rolling it up, handing it off to her. She stood with an air of absolute confidence. I got this, Father. Cal was shocked as he was startled, frightened by this brave yet stupid gesture from Sandra. You're insane, it'll tear you apart. You're all crazy, but I mean, why shouldn't I? Sandra stared at the three men with her right hand on her hip as if a woman couldn't be strong, and she had made the decision for them as they had been arguing and hadn't been able to tolerate it any longer. You know, the three of them felt slightly ashamed and taken aback by this proclamation, but they would stand by her, ready to jump in at any moment. Father Flanagan stared at her then, holding a Bible in his hand, not quite as tight as Laura had. A penitent heart, only a penitent man can vanquish the beast back to hell. He stops, his voice fades out, then he says, No, a woman will vanquish the beast. She is pure of heart. I wish you all of the luck, and the power of Christ be with you, Miss McCoy. Never mind the sexism now, Father. We have a job to do, so get me outside as quick as possible. Sandra smiles, then heads towards the dark, narrow, carven hall. The forlorn priest was completely drained and utter in disgust with himself that this group, of all of them, the one that felt the most guilt, yet none was even her fault, was taking on a task that could end her life in the process. The four continued to travel through the long, narrow, cavernous path underground, the walls seemingly closing in, as the once wider, carved-out hall became more narrow with each step. It was there before them, the great door the priest had mentioned, with the carved goat's head upon it. Around the frame, intricate symbols carved into the framed woodwork, in what looked like it could possibly be Latin, or maybe another, more ancient text. Before them lay an altar with a groove cut into the rock facade within the narrow cavern. Down below on the floor, as the flashlights flooded the hall, they could see that it was littered with bones and debris of all varieties of animals, either died or eaten by the Chupacabra. A few candles, long since melted down to the floor, candles strewn across the floor, just below the altar, looked as though someone had lit them not long before, as the wax was still pliable and semi-solid. Father Ted asked Sandra, when did you say you were here last? Quite a while back before Miss Gray's disappearance. Why? Sandra pointing towards a black candle that was clearly out of place amongst the much older ones. Look at the candle to the bottom right that's been lit recently. The wax is still pooled around that one over there. It just happens to be closest to the altar. Then notices the scrolls that had previously been in Father Santoro's possession. The three men take a closer look, realizing that she's right, but who would have known about this besides the five who were there to even reach that far? Father Santoro, so he had been there, but why? And why are the Mayan scrolls here? Didn't he have them with him? Larry exclaimed. Yes, he did, Sandra yells out. He had them, so why did he just leave them behind? It makes no sense. With no time to explain or figure out what the other priest's motives had been, he was not there with them, and there was no other way out of the cave. Father Flanagan began to set up several new black and some white candles along the altar. He retrieved a bowl from his backpack, then placing it on the altar along with holy water he had in an old water bottle, pours the holy water in, making sure that he blesses it. Father Flanagan then takes the dagger from Sandra. He then reaches back into his backpack in a small bag, still clucking nervously. He reveals a live chicken, a small rooster that he had hidden, brought along with him. Wait, you had that poor thing in your bag this whole time. How could he even breathe? And I didn't hear one squawk. Cal looking rather curiously at the priest's cleaver trick. I am sort of confused and questioning any explanation of how that thing could have been in there. Not a peep this entire time. Myself, but just as curious. So what's with the chicken, Father? Father Flanagan explains his trickery by hiding the rooster right in his bag. It had been asleep the entire time. As if you put them in a safe, dark spot, they will just rest. We need to draw the Chupacabra out, and then we have to go back up and outside to wait for it to come to us. That is the plan now. No offense, Father, says Sandra, but how the hell do we know if it's not already awake? If Father Santoro was down here, would we all be pretty much fucked at this point? I need you all to understand, once I do this, there is no turning back. We must fulfill the prophecy on those scroll, all of the way through, says the priest. He carefully lights each candle, then, taking a hold of the scroll he had, left by Father Santoro at the altar, he takes the dagger, then grabs the chicken, slitting its throat. while its blood cascading then to a slow drip. This, according to Father Santoro, should deflect its hold upon you. Now, Miss McCoy, he says. She scoffs. You better hope your ass it does, or I don't know, I guess I'll find out, won't I? Father Flanagan turns to Larry, Cal, and then to Sandra. Here we go, and now you must also do this. It will sever the blood ties to the beast, and release your family from its debts, and free both Miss McCoy from her mark by the beast. Cal hesitant asked the priest, Are you sure of this? We actually have to cut ourselves? No, I mean really, who doesn't want a nice infection, am I right? He tries to half laugh it off, but he soon realizes the priest is being totally serious. Taking the dagger, he slices his hand and wipes the blood as it drips onto the altar. Then proceeds to clean out the wound with water, and rips a part off of the bottom of his shirt in order to bandage it afterwards. Father Flanagan assures them that it will work. I've never been more sure of anything, and the last few paragraphs of the text said that it's the only way. Once all four of them had dressed their wounded hand, the priest in a louder tone said, All right, everyone back upstairs quickly, and I mean quickly. We don't want to be down here when it appears. As the four of them leave the cavern in a hurriedly frightened, half-excited yet terrified manner, they reach the iron door, prying it open with the crowbar. Luckily, Larry still carried with him. As soon as they had started taking in deep breaths of fresh air, to everyone's relief, expelling the foul, musty, dank odor from the cave. Now we wait. Father Flanagan wipes the sweat from his face with a handkerchief and looks upon the three faces as their fate awaits them. Larry let out a sigh. His anxiety was running high, and he wasn't sure a half-cocked plan would be enough without the younger priest there to help them. Sitting down to finally have a rest, and waiting for the event to start, Cal hears a creaking noise as the priest closes the door before emerging from out of the cellar. Then a strange glow emits from the tunnel from where the trap door had been, into the twilight of the evening that has just started to emerge over the horizon in its glorious pinks, blues, orange hues. Set below the mountain peaks the howling began. Cal, who was sitting half inside and out of the pop-up tents that Larry had brought, twiddling his thumbs, nervous as he was sure they all were. Sandra was sitting upon a flat rock that was just jutting out behind the property, awaiting as the sun began to sink beneath the horizon, staring at the dagger she had taken it out of the cloth it had been carefully wrapped up in before leaving the cave. She was the most observant of the bunch. It was she that had noticed Father Santoro's absence. It was she that noticed the scrolls and candles having been previously lit before their arrival into the room where the altar lay. It was Sandra who stepped up to challenge the beast. Sandra rolled off of the rock and walked back around the foundation to the spot where the three men had been sitting since they left the cave, underground, sitting on the ground. She wondered how long it would be, and even she, as empowered as she felt, still had doubts in herself. What was on her mind, though, as the sun finally gave its last few glowing embers on the horizon, just behind the mountain peak, was where in the world had Father Santoro gone? No one could believe that the younger priest had the ability to just walk in and out like the wind. But then again, they were facing a supernatural creature, so was it actually possible? Or did the priest simply pull a switch and bait on with his disappearing act? End Bloodlines Chupacabra, Chapter 11, Beyond the Threshold. So how do you feel now? What do you really think happened to Father Santoro? Let me know in the comments below, and oh, keep that dagger handy and try not to fall asleep. I wouldn't want you to become the next victim of the Chupacabra. Until next time.